Hi there, I'm Michelle the Painter, and this is Paint and Sip at Home. Alright, so today I'm going to be painting Rainbow Waterfall, and I'm sipping on some wild berry iced tea today. And if you enjoy this process, I do hope that you like and subscribe to my channel, and that you also check out my Patreon page for additional painting perks. So let's get painting, and let's get sipping. Alright, so for my materials today, I'm going to be using a stretched and primed 16 by 20 inch canvas. If you're painting along, you can certainly switch up the size, but that's what I'll be using. For my paint today, I'm going to be using acrylic paint. My colors are titanium white, deep yellow, fire red, green oxide, cobalt blue, fluorescent violet, Mars black, and burnt umber, which I like to call brown. And of course you can switch up those colors if you'd like to. For my tools today, I just dropped one of them, so I'm going to pick it up now. I've got a standard number 2 pencil that I'll be using for some drawing. And then I have 3 brushes from my personal brush line, which is Michelle the Painter brushes. I have a 3/4 inch wide and a 1/2 inch wide flat bristle brushes, natural bristle brushes. Then I have a number 6 round synthetic brush. I may refer to these as small, medium, and large as we go through the painting process, or I will just call them out by name. And of course you can switch up those brushes if you'd like to, but that's what I will be using. If you're painting along with me, you're probably going to want to have some kind of cup of water for washing your brushes, as well as some kind of towel for drying your brushes. And down below this video, in the video description, I do provide you with a few additional resources that can help you throughout your painting process. One of them is a link to my shop where you could purchase the same exact paint kit that I'm using with the same size and type of canvas, to the same type of paints and brushes and all the good stuff in between. So that's there. You can also in my shop purchase things individually, like the brushes from my brush line. In the video description, you're also going to find a free downloadable image of the final painting. So you can print that and use it as visual reference as you go through the painting process. And there's also the written step-by-step instructions down there for you as well. And that's all we're going to need today. Alright, so what we're going to do for the first step is we're going to be drawing an outline for our landscape. I'm going to be using my number 2 pencil. You can certainly use any drawing utensil that is comfortable to you. This is, whatever you want, totally works. I'm going to be guiding you through a series of markers. We're going to connect those markers, and by the time we're done, we'll have a nice basic outline that we'll be able to use during the painting in process. So I'm going to first just guide you to find yourself the center of your canvas, top to bottom, left to right. So for me, I've already marked mine. That falls right about here. I like to do that so I can kind of steer you around the canvas, but we don't need that right off the bat. Oh yeah, maybe we do. We're going to make some rocks first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you draw the landscape from the front back. So we're going to put a couple of foreground rocks in. So from the center of your canvas, if you go all the way over to the right hand side and then come down about 1.5 inches to 2 inches, give yourself a marker. And then go back to the center and come all the way down to the bottom of your canvas and come to the right of that about 2.5 inches. I'm going to connect these 2 markers with a rock. So I'm going to have just some kind of organic type of shape. You can have yours like a jagged rock with pointy edges or rounded edges or no edges. You can make it just like a little hill, whatever you want to do. So then I'm going to do another one in the bottom left-hand corner of my canvas. I'm going to go to the bottom left-hand corner and come up about 2 inches, give myself a little marker, and then I'm going to go over from the bottom left, maybe about 1, 2, 3, 3.5 inches, give myself a little marker. I'm going to connect these for another little rock, like that. Then I'm going to make another rock behind this one. So I'm going to come down the top of this rock just a little bit and give myself a horizontal line that comes, I would say if this is halfway and like this is a quarter way, I'm a little bit to the right of that. So maybe about 6 inches from the left-hand side, somewhere in that vicinity. Then I'm going to come halfway up the left-hand side of my canvas and go up from that about 1.5 inches or 2, somewhere in through here. So I'm going to connect here to this little tip here. But for me, I kind of want it to look like a little cliff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take from this little corner here and bring this in with a short rock, kind of in like this, and then I can kind of give myself a couple of little ledges. Maybe this is a strong drop off. You don't have to make them exactly like this, but this will give us a good large area for the waterfall to come in the middle. Then what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to come up just a little bit up that rock like this, and then I'm going to see how high I did that mark from the bottom of my canvas and come over to the other rock over here and give myself a mark at about the same height, and then I'm going to draw a horizontal line across. So for me, I'm probably about 2-3 inches away from the bottom of my canvas. You may find yours a little bit different because you put this rock somewhere else or at a different height, so that just somewhere in that vicinity will work. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the top of our canvas. So up to the top of my canvas, I'm going to go to the top right hand corner, give myself a marker, and then top left hand corner, give myself a marker. I'm going to go back to the center of my canvas, and I'm going to come up almost halfway between that and the top of my canvas. So halfway would be about here. I'm a little bit lower than that, so somewhere in through here. I'm now going to connect here to here and here to here. The whole goal here is I want to have a big space that my waterfall is going to be dropping off of these rocks. So what you can do initially is maybe draw the area where the waterfall is going to go. So for me, I'm going to have my waterfall kind of coming in this vicinity, in through here and dropping off. So now I know like my rock that it's going to be kind of going between would end up here and here. So we can take these and now make some kind of organic type of line that will insinuate just some kind of ledge or some kind of land. Maybe up here we have this one looking a little bit different, and try and make them look a little bit different from one another so that way it looks like Mother Nature created it and not your brain. So then from here what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it just a drop off. This will be kind of a parameter for the edge of the waterfall, and then on the left hand side I'm going to curve it out a little bit. So curve it out a little bit and then get it to fall right into the water. And that's all I'm going to do for my outline. I am going to be using my large bristle brush for the next step, so you can just get ready. Alright, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to paint the sky. I'm using my large bristle brush to paint. The colors I'm using are blue and white. I'm going to be doing this entire top area with just a little bit of blue and a little bit of white on my brush. I'm going to start at the top. I'm using a circular brush stroke like this to give myself a nice soft like airy type of sky. Maybe there's a couple of clouds going by. I'm going to have it a little bit darker at the top and a little bit lighter as it gets down towards the bottom. So what I'll do is as I am going through, it's okay if you bump into your land also. Using pencil, you'll still be able to see that pencil through the paint. So just go right ahead and bump into that. As I come down the sky, like I said, I'll get it to go a little bit lighter, so it just looks like a nice natural sky that gets a little bit lighter towards the land. But you can have yours whatever color that you want. Again, just a little tiny bit of paint on your brush will suffice. I don't want it to go all the way white as it comes towards that, towards the landscape or towards the waterfall, because I'm going to have white foamy water at the top, and I want there to be some sort of contrast between the water and the sky. So it's safer to go darker in order to be able to see that water, but that'll be up to you. And the pencil will bleed into your paint, so if you have some areas that take on a little grayish hue, don't worry about that. Once you have the paint on there, you can continue to either do the circular brush stroke to smooth it out, or just kind of lightly brush it back and forth, and that'll just get it to smooth out. And you might have some little bits of appearance of clouds, you may not. It might be super soft, it might be very colorful. Whatever happens, just let it happen. It's a blue sky. It can have all different kinds of formations. We're going to use this same large brush for the next step, so you can just wash it and dry it and get ready. Alright, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to paint the base coat for our rocks. I'm going to be using my large bristle brush. The colors I'm using are black, brown, and white. And what I'm going to do is on the back rocks, I'm going to start them with black and brown at the top, and then as it gets down towards the other rocks, I'm going to add a little bit of white, so it makes it a little bit misty or foggy looking down there, because that's where the water is going to be spraying up. And then these guys in through here, I will make this one a little bit lighter. Well, I'll probably use black and brown on these guys, but maybe a little bit lighter around the edge. So you'll see what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with black paint up at the top, and I'm just going to kind of give myself, just, you know, bring it right to the edge. You don't have to worry about this being perfect at this point, because we're going to do another step on these in order to make them look more realistic. I just picked up some brown. So I have different tones in here. You can have smooth at the edges, you can have little bumps. Whatever you want to do is totally up to you. As I pull this down, this is going to be rocks, so the texture in them is going to be totally fine. You could really apply this in any way that you want. Once I get about halfway down, again, don't worry about how perfect this is. You could even kind of stipple it if you want to with texture. No, I think I'm going to just do it like this, just messy. As I get about down to here, I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of white with my brown and black. So this is going to almost be a little bit grayish looking. So just get this a little gray in through here, right up to that one. Going to go back here. And any brush stroke is going to work at this point, because again, we'll make this look much better on the next step. I'm going to come over here, wash my brush, start at the top of that other rock, wash and dry my brush. Doesn't have to be perfectly clean. Start back with the black at the top, and just kind of go right up to my pencil mark. Again, it can be smooth or not, make little bumps so it looks a little bit more natural. Bring this down in through here. Just start to paint that in. Now I'm going to pick up some brown. Messy, doesn't matter at this point. These little odd marks and stuff can help steer you into making more information on the rocks later. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of white with my brown and my black. So white, brown, and black are on my brush right now. And this is where I'm going to do this little area behind the other rock. And it doesn't have to be the same color as this one. So if one is lighter or darker than the other, no worries. And then I'm just kind of going to the top and then just making sure this whole area is colored in. So then when I got to do these couple of rocks, I think I'm just going to pick up some black paint on my dirty brush to get to this one, just so we can see it. And you're going to now see how effective that lighter tone behind it is, because now this rock is very visible. Picking up some black and brown, just kind of going right in through here. And I think I might do the same thing with just picking up a touch of white as I get to the bottom, so it'll just give me a little bit of a lighter tone right as it's going to meet that rock. And then when I do the rock in front of it with black, you'll be able to see that one. So something like that. The rock on the other side doesn't matter because that's all going to be black, or black and brown. I just picked up black. I'm going to do this whole one with black at the top, like that. And then just pick up some brown as I get down towards that bottom. So again, nothing fancy, just giving myself some rocks. And we'll put more detail to them in a future step. And then this little guy down here, just gonna pick up some black and just do this whole one with just black. And then once you've got this step done, we're gonna, for the next step, use probably this same brush, our large bristle brush for the next step. So you can just get ready. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to paint the base coat for the water. I do recommend that the paint is dry where next to the water area, just so it's okay if we bump into those areas, but you don't want to drag those grays and blacks back into the water. So just make sure that's dry. I'm going to be using my large bristle brush to paint, but I'm going to use my number 6 round to demonstrate how to premix a couple of custom colors. The colors I'm using in this step are red, yellow, white, green, blue, purple. I'm going to premix a teal color, which I have magically done on my palette, as well as an orange color. So here is my orange. How I got to that is just yellow and red. So I'm going to take yellow and I'm just going to add a dot of red into it at a time, because the red is really powerful and I'll get it to go almost too red too quickly. So just add a dot at a time. You're just looking for something somewhere between yellow and red, which is orange. So we've got that going on in through there. Once I've got that, I can wash my mixing tool and create my teal color. So I'm going to use the teal as the base coat for the pool of water, which to me would be affected by the sky color, any sediment and stuff underneath the water. So I want it to be just kind of like a tropically teal color, and then we'll add the rainbow reflection into it later. So I have made it on my palette here. How I achieved this is blue, yellow, and white. So I take blue, I'm going to put a tiny bit of yellow into it. I can always add more yellow, but if you add too much yellow, it'll just turn totally green on you. So just a little bit of yellow at a time, and then a little bit of white at a time. And then just start spinning it together and seeing if you need to adjust it any. Let's get this nice and spun together. I'm probably going to need to add more white, clearly, but I'm just seeing if it's my teal color enough. Let's just add a little bit of white and see if I need to add any more yellow to it. So yeah, I'm going to need to add just a little bit more yellow to it in order to get it more similar to that. So just a dot at a time, and that'll get me into the vicinity that I'm looking for. Just looking here from a different angle, that looks good to me. So that's going to be the teal color that I'm going to be using. So once I've got that, I'm ready to start painting. So I'm going to put my mixing tool away. I'm going to do this bottom area first with the teal, so I'm just going to pick up some of that color and paint in this whole area. So I'm using a pretty large brush for this task, but this is a preliminary kind of step. So if you bump into your rock and you're worried about that, you can always use the smaller bristle brush, or you could even use the small round to get this little area of the water. But again, this is just a beginning stages, doesn't need to be anything perfect. It's okay if I bump into my rocks at this point, so like that. So that's what I was saying. If I bumped into it and I had all of that black was wet, it would have brought it into my water, and that's not what I wanted. So once I have that, I'm ready to go up top. So I'm going to wash and dry my brush. So the order of colors for a rainbow are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So I am a lazy brush washer. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to go yellow, orange, red. Then I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to go green, blue, purple. Because going in that succession, they are turning themselves into the next color anyway, so I don't need to wash my brush. So here we go. I'm going to make sure my brush is pretty dry, And I'm going to start with yellow and about halfway at the top, and then I'm going to kind of go about halfway here. There we go. And I know I need 3 colors within this small section, so I'll be careful to not go too far over. And I'm just going to curve it a little bit, something like that. So I have yellow. Now all I need to do is give my brush a little squeeze on my paper towel, pick up some orange, go into the orange. You can blend them into each other. Don't worry about not blending into each other. Yellow, orange. Bring it right down to the base. Now I can just wipe my brush off without washing it. Pick up some red. Now I'm in my red. And just kind of brush it, overlap it onto that orange. Now I have my red section. And now I'm going to have to wash my brush. So once I get to my red section, I can wash my brush. And now I can go with green, then blue, then purple, and not worry about it. So wash my brush, gave it a good squeeze in my paper towel. Going to pick up a little bit of green, start next to my yellow, and I'm going to remember that I need to kind of visually cut that in 3. Go like this. I can hit my, or even overlap that yellow, bump into it a little bit. Here we go. Green, just make sure I get all the way down to the bottom. Wipe my brush off, but don't need to clean it. Pick up some blue. Do this next section. It's kind of and the top doesn't matter if it's super clean. We're gonna put some white frothy stuff up there later anyways. So we got some blue, kind of blended in that green a little bit. Like that. And I'm kind of keeping it a little curved. We'll curve it more when it comes to the splashes and stuff. And now I can pick up some purple. Blend that in with the blue a little bit. And then we have purple over here on this right hand side. So now I have the proper order for my rainbow colors. And then this is not dry, so we can't put that on top of it yet. We'll put reflections of our rainbow colors on that later. And then we are going to be using probably this large brush for the next step. So once you've got this done, you can just wash it and dry it and get ready for the next step. Alright, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to finish our rocks. I'm going to use my large bristle brush. I'm probably going to switch to my number 6 at the end though, because for these littler rocks. Excuse me, the colors I'm going to use are black, brown, white, and I may use a little orange as well. And if I use any other colors, I'll let you know. Might use a little bit of blue down at the bottom, but we'll see how this goes. So I am going to put some greenery and stuff around later, so I don't need this to be 100% rendered, but I definitely want there to look like there's some little bits of cliffs, and we've got some different sections of rocks, and also some little almost mistiness at the bottom of the rock. So again, I'm going to start at the back rocks and work my way forward. I'm going to start with a little bit of brown and just kind of plan out where I want some of these like ledges and stuff to go. So if I have a light spot in through here, I can almost kind of just take a little bit of that light color and then maybe just allow myself to create, even like in through here, if I have a little jutting out part like that, I could maybe create a little ledge like that and then just fade that color back, and that'll make it look like we've got a couple of different areas of that rock that are sticking out. I could pick up a little bit of black and then almost reverse or put some shadows in here. So you can use that brown as kind of just a little bit of a highlight to create these edges of the rocks. Again, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. The star of the show is the waterfall. So this is all just kind of like background noise, areas to just make it feel like it's got some dimension to it and has a little bit more substance to it other than just something bland flanking the sides of the of the waterfall. So I kind of like that over there. You could add a tiny bit of white. Just be careful of the white because it could really overpower it and just make it a little bit too much. But if you wanted to just add extra little bits, I can just take, I have brown and white and black on my brush right now. This will just kind of give you just a little extra bit of information. So I'll do the same thing over on this side. I have a couple of light colors on my brush right now, so I'm just going to improv with where I want these little rock faces to go, the little ledges just kind of higher up on the top, kind of flat at the top, and then just pulling some down here. I want this one to kind of look like it's just a tall drop off, so we're just going to allow for long kind of vertical marks to occur, so maybe this doesn't have as many ledges as the other side does, and then just allow myself to kind of freestyle in through here. And then down at the bottom of these back ones, I do want it to look a little misty, so this is where I'm going to pick up a tiny bit more white on my brush, and I'm going to use that circular brush stroke to just kind of make it look like there's mist in front of these rocks. It'll again work its way into the waterfall in a little bit, but right now just kind of making sure those values are where I want them. Let's just kind of do that. And anything that happens that you're not totally sold on, we can hide with a tree or a bush or, you know, some kind of greenery later. And then on this side again, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of white on my dirty brush down at the bottom. Just give it this little kind of foggy, misty look, as if the falls maybe are splashing out left to right. So again, we'll get that more later. So these little guys in here, I actually feel like I want to switch to my, do I want to do that yet? Hold on, let me hit this one first. So I'm going to do the same thing here, starting with a little bit of brown. I feel like I could maybe just add, and there was a little of whatever lightness was on my brush a minute ago. So you can add like little, just kind of rock heads coming close like that, maybe like the little tops of them. And then just pick up a tiny bit of black and then just go in between. So you can see I'm not really doing a heck of a lot. Just in my head I'm saying, oh, I want a little rock, the top of a rock, maybe here. So I add a little bit of lightness, and then I just get it to blend down into the darkness of the rest of the rock. I don't want it to be all black, so I can maybe just take a little extra brown on my brush and just maybe, I've got a little rock top there, maybe here's got a little bit of the face of it is a little highlighted. So just kind of manipulating those tones in order to give you the little tops of the rocks, the little edges of the rocks. And in my head, I can, you know, I say to myself, oh, that's the top, it's got to be lighter. Oh, I want a little edge here, so I'm going to make that a little lighter. So in my head, that's how I kind of create them on the fly like this. Over here, I want this to look more like it's just dropping off. So I'll pick up a little bit of my black on this back side. And again, these are just more kind of vertical, and maybe these get a little bit brighter. So I should probably just wipe my brush off, pick up a little bit of that brown to give me some lighter edges. And now I need to change my brush to my number 6 round because this is getting too small. So this is where I'm going to change to my number 6 round. And then I'm going to use brown with maybe a little bit of orange and white. So this will make it look a little bit more in focus with the orange in the equation. So this will give me just a little more extra bit of information. I don't want it to be too yellow, so I will just make sure that I have enough brown in the equation that it allows for ample rock look to it, as opposed to it just being like yellow or anything like that. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to pick up a little bit more black and brown, just kind of get these edges to look like they are weathered by the water. And again, nothing fancy, just making sure I have a second coat on there and that it looks to me like it's kind of a rock formation. Like kind of. It doesn't have to be totally, just kind of. You can add some width to it, but just kind of highlighting it back a little bit further. And then again, we'll have some fun with making the water come into it. And I don't think I want to do much with this one, maybe just add a couple little brown type marks just so it's not super flat, but something like that works for me. And then we're going to be using for the next step, let me just kind of get this one little area up in through here. I think I'm going to use my my 1/2 inch bristle for the next step, so you can just get ready. Alright, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to work on the waterfall. I'm going to be using my 1/2 inch bristle brush. The colors I'm going to use are white, yellow, orange, red, green, blue, purple, and that might be it. If I use, I don't think I'm going to use any of that teal. I might when I'm in the water, but I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding a bunch of white paint up at the top of the waterfall, and then I'm going to allow it to just kind of intermingle with these colors. I will also, not right off the bat, but I will also come back and use wet, all these colors in a wet form to get different tones within the waterfall. But first, I just want to kind of get that bright white stuff on there, get the trajectory of it, make sure I know where I want it to go as far as like its fluffiness. That's probably not the right word. And also start the reflection in the water itself down here. So I'm going to start with white on my brush, and I'm going to start up at the top. Now just picture in your head, this is coming screaming over this big mountain, or this cliff. So I'm just going to kind of almost like dot it along the way in through here. It can be thinner in some areas, like maybe that's a thinner area, and then maybe it's thicker over in through here, and then maybe it's thicker over in through here, and then it's gonna come down. You just pull it in a streaky way in the direction you feel it's coming off that ledge. So gravity will take over at some point, but coming off the ledge, it's probably going to be coming in some sort of curved direction. So I'm going to take it, maybe this area, maybe this part comes a little bit straighter down because it dipped quicker. Maybe these are going faster and it curves out more. So you can have it coming down at, different angles, but you don't want to just come straight down coming off the top of that ledge. And then I'm just going to keep picking up a little bit of white and allowing myself to almost dry brush it down, which means I'm kind of running out of paint as I pull it down. So I want that white thicker at the top, and then it's thinner as it's coming down towards where it's hitting the bottom of the waterfall. So by having these different thicknesses of white on top of my colors, it's going to allow it to look like it's more like the water froth is a little bit heavier or more powerful where the area is whiter. So it doesn't have to be the same thickness of white all over the place. And you can see here I'm just kind of pulling it straighter down as opposed to curving it. So maybe there's some rocks under here, so you could always have a part that kind of like juts out. So if it hits a rock coming down here, it could theoretically just kind of pop out, and now you've got another little part to that waterfall that is, really kind of cool. Is your own kind of waterfall. So I'm just kind of continuing to add this white in through here. And once I feel like I've got a good amount, maybe it hits a rock in through here too. So hits a rock and kind of pops out a little bit. Once I've got that in through there, then what I could do is, oh, maybe I like what that did. So I want another one. Let's put a little one down here too, going in this direction. Once you do something that you like, it's like, oh, that was fun, let's do it again. So now I've got this one kind of coming and hitting this rock or whatever in through here and then spilling out into here. So now I'm going to take on my brush, I've got this foamy white, I've got white, so everything's going to hit the water, right? So we're going to just kind of make for these splashes down and through here, even down behind this rock and through here. So I'm just kind of pushing my brush, getting that white onto the surface, and then just scrubbing it out, allowing it to look like it is. This is going to get hidden, I can tell already. Let's just hide that anyway. Let's just get that to be poofy in front of there. That was a poor location spot. So I've got my fluffiness, and because I didn't bring that bright white all the way down, now this definitely has it, you can see it better. So something like that. Now, while this is kind of settling, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of take a little bit of this white and put it in the reflection, because this white is going to help me make those colors nice and bright. So I'm just going to kind of take and do some kind of left to right zigzaggy marks like this. This is going to indicate the ripples in the water. Just get it to kind of go a little bit wider as it gets towards the viewer, like that. Then I'm going to wash my brush. So while this is kind of settling, I can finish these little corners over here. So I think I'm going to pick up a little bit of my cobalt blue and just get some nice deep tones in my water over and through here. And if you bump into your rocks, you can always clean up those edges, but we're going to do a couple of steps with like greenery and stuff, so if we do want to make any little corrections there, you certainly can. So again, this is just a little cobalt blue to deepen the tones in that teal colored water that we put. I can even put a little bit down at the bottom here. And now I can start loading in the, is this dry yet? No, that's not dry. We're going to go up top and put intermingle our rainbow colors with some white. So washing and drying my brush. So again, I can start yellow, then orange, then red. I'm just going to kind of intermingle white with those colors in the center, just to make sure that I have, that it looks finished. So I have white and a little bit of yellow on my brush. So I'm just going to start in through here, just so it looks finished, because I can see streakiness from the first layer, and this just helps me, my painterly eye, be more satisfied. So I just picked up orange and white, and now I'm in my orange section. And you can bring it up, you can really kind of give it whatever way you want. Over here I'm going to pick up my red with a tiny bit of white. So red and white is going to make pink, so you just want to be careful that you don't overdo it. On the red section, I can bring some splashes out. So I got red and white, so I can bring some little splashes out into the left. So it'll make it look like it's kind of splashing out. Not a lot, but just a little bit will work. Then I'm going to wash my brush and go back to that green. So wash my brush. Going to pick up a little bit of green and just a touch of white. Just a little tiny touch on the corner of my brush to get this area. So I didn't want to just go over this with just white in this area, so it didn't in this middle section, because it would have tainted the color too much. So now I've got blue and white on my brush just to allow for that. And then I had this little spot that kind of burst out from a rock or something. I can even put little splashes in through there, so you can have fun with those little things to make it look a little bit different. And then wipe my brush off, pick up some of my purple with just a touch of white. Oops, that's too much. There we go. And just allow for some purple, and they can intermingle with each other. And then again, I made this little fun spot. But again, the trick is just not a lot of paint on your brush. If you want, to give yourself that, just airy but forceful kind of waterfall look. I feel like I want a little bit more white up at the top. I just washed my brush, picking up a little bit extra white. Just want a little bit extra white up here just to really take on the power of the water. There we go. There, that makes me happy. And then down at the bottom, I want to incorporate some of these other colors. So I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of yellow, go into my yellow area, kind of just make this into a little yellow section, go to my orange, make a little orange section. And the colors are going to be tainted a little bit because they're on top of that teal color, which is, oops, I need to go into red. I went from orange to orange. We need to go to orange to red. Which was my intent, because I feel like that makes it look a little bit more natural when you can get that reflection to take on the colors underneath. Then I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to go green, a little bit of green, kind of go down the center, wipe my brush, go blue, a little bit down in this section, wipe my brush, pick up purple, go, oops, that's too much on my brush. Go in this direction. I can then wash my brush, and if you feel like I want to do any more little fluff in through here, I can take, and you can even pull some of those rainbow colors up if you feel like you're confident, just kind of pulling some of that wet color from underneath. Feel free to do so. Just kind of splashing this up. Coming over here, maybe a little purple in my little splashes. So this is going to just give you a fun, ooh, yeah, that looks nice. I like that over on that side. Oh yeah, so that means I need to do that red on this side. Yeah, so that's going to make it's going to make it look like the waterfall is alive with the foam just splashing over on the edges. Ooh, I like that a lot. And then I'm just going to wipe my brush off, pick up a little bit of white, kind of just put some little white sparkles in the water. I'm heavy with my paint right now, so I'm just tapping my water with just these little sparkle marks to draw the viewer's attention. There we go. And then you can fiddle with your water as much as you want. I'm feeling like I'm digging mine, so I'm going to probably call it on mine. And then we're going to be using, ooh, little splashes going up like this too. I like the little splashes. We're going to be using probably for the next step my, I think it's probably going to be a combination of my round and this 1/2" bristle brush, so you can just get ready. Alright, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to start some greenery and flowers and trees and stuff throughout the landscape. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to be using predominantly my number 6 round brush. I'll use the 1/2" for the next step, I think. I just want to kind of place where things are going to go. So I'm going to be using brown, green, yellow, and that might be it. I might use my 1/2" bristle. We'll see how this goes. So I want a couple of trees just kind of popping up from here, maybe a tree kind of popping up from here. I want some greenery stuff at the top of my hill, so it almost looks like there's either some moss on there or some distant trees behind them. I want some greenery kind of coming off the top of here. I want it to look more alive than just cliffs. We've got some tropical color in the water. I feel like there'd be flowers and, you know, lots of, you know, almost like jungle-y type of stuff. So I'm going to first use my number 6 with a little bit of black. I think I said I was using black to start this. I think I need some brown too on my palette. I'll get some brown in a second. So I'm going to start by kind of just placing a couple of trees. Like I'd like to have one maybe coming off of here. So I know that I have a light background there, so I can just kind of take this and say, all right, let's kind of put just a tree kind of coming off of here. Maybe I've got another one up off of this, you know, coming out of the exterior part of my scenery. And they can be any kind of trees you want. This is just an imaginary place, so just make it into whatever you want it to be. I'm taking these lighter areas where I can see, you know, a tree trunk would be noticeable, and I can just kind of say, ooh, over here maybe I've got a little one kind of coming out over here. So, you know, feel free. Maybe even up top, I've got a couple at the top of my scenery, kind of just leaning off the edge of there, but try and keep it off kilter so you don't have too many of the same thing rocking the same places. So maybe this one even like kind of dips down and we see a cool little branch like that. So just have fun with those kind of things. I do want to have some big flowery areas. I've marked off where I want my trees to go. I think I am going to, this one kind of looks like it's floating, so we're going to have to make sure that kind of goes behind something, or, yeah, that looks good. It's going to grow right off the edge of that rock. So I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to put just a little bit of brown and a touch of white on it right now, just so I can lighten up the edges of those trees, or at least give them a little bit of brown look to them. There we go. That worked. Maybe just a little bit into there. That guy up there doesn't really need it. This guy doesn't really need it either, but we'll just add a little just in case. A little bit of lightness doesn't hurt, but we can. There we go. All right. So now that I've got those in place, do I need to do anything else with those? I don't think so. I kind of want to add, like, put some bushes and stuff in place. So I'm going to just pick up a little bit of green. I'm switching my brush to my 1/2 inch bristle. Green and brown are going on my brush. So I want some stuff up in through here. So I'm just going to kind of tap this in and maybe let it kind of hang over the edge of my cliffside. In through here. Maybe I've got a little like bush behind it, so, or a tree or something. So I just kind of want to take up some additional space with some additional colors. Green and brown is what I'm going to start with these guys over here. Maybe this one is a tree just off the top of my canvas. Maybe there's some little grassy stuff in through here. So just allowing myself to kind of add some color to this. This tree in through here, maybe it's got some little branches and stuff in through here. I don't just want to use the green and brown either, so as I'm going through this, I've got to alter the color a little bit as it's coming towards us. Maybe I use green with a little bit of yellow in it. So green with a little bit of yellow is going to give me a different tone than the stuff farther away. And maybe this tree has just like little pom-pommy type of leaves on it, as opposed to a big full assortment. So just have fun with, you know, kind of creating your own little trees. I've got maybe a similar one back here that's off of my canvas. So something like that. And then maybe I've got some little flower stuff growing off of the rock. So maybe I pick up a little bit of, as I'm getting closer to us, I think I want to pick up a little bit of green and black and just kind of start maybe some little bushes in through here. Maybe I've got a little bush in through here. These are probably going to end up being like flowery type of bushes for me, but I just want to have kind of a deeper base to them so they look like they're closer to us in the shadows of the rocks and stuff. So this is just green and black, and I'm just kind of dotting. Maybe I have some little mossy stuff on top of this rock. Maybe I've got some in through here. I kind of want to do some little springy or like little leaves and stuff too. So I'll do that in a minute. Maybe this is some like little mossy stuff. So, you know, again, having a fun time just kind of picking and choosing where you want. I just picked up some yellow if you couldn't tell. Picked up a little yellow. I'm going to switch back for a second to the round brush because I want to start some longer grassy things. So black and green is going on my brush right now. So I feel like I want to have kind of some almost like little tropically ferny type of things coming out in some places. So these are gonna, this is just green and black I'm starting with on these guys. And maybe these are, I want definitely more than one of those. So maybe I put one kind of coming out of this rock over here. And you can really just have fun with playing with, you know, different kind of assortment. Maybe even like you can always like turn a tree into kind of like a palm tree kind of thing. So maybe there's like these cool like little palm things coming off of this one. So just know that once you've decided on something for a particular tree or something, you can always change it. So I liked what happened there. So I was like, oh, let's just make this tree into that too. So you can really just have fun with it. So once you've got kind of an idea of where you want these things to go, we'll finish with another step to kind of make them a little bit more exciting and lively. I'm just adding maybe a little extra bit up and through here. And then I'm going to probably use these same two brushes for the next step. So once you've got this done, I'm just picking up a little bit of yellow. I did add a touch of white onto my dirty brush too, in through there. Oh, I'm going to have fun in the next step, I can tell you that much, because I want to go to town right now on this. All right, stop. I'm going to go on to the next step with those same two brushes so you can just get ready. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to finish our landscape. I'm going to be using my 1/2" bristle and my number 6 round. The colors I'm going to use are green, yellow, white, brown, black, and if I use any other colors, oh, and red, definitely some red. If I use any other colors, I'll let you know. So first I'm going to make myself a light green color, which I have made magically before, and I'll show you how to make it. So it's on my palette here. How I got to this is green, yellow, and white. So it's mostly green and white, but I used the yellow so the green turns more of like a light limey green as opposed to like a light minty green. So that's where I'm headed with that. It's going to be a great highlight for some of my foliage. And I also kind of want to make like a pink color, but I think I'll do that on the fly to make my flowers. So that'll be with the red. But so once I've got my light green, what I'm going to first do is I'm going to start with my round brush, and I'm going to look around and see if there's any little things that on my rocks that I need to fix. Like I feel like this edge of this rock needs a little bit more finessing. So I'm going to start with a little bit of black and brown just to make sure it's covering my water edge, because it looked like the water was bumping, like I had bumped into my rock with my water earlier. So now I've got to correct that. I'm picking up some brown and white, kind of putting a little lighter edge on that. So this is where the areas that are not being covered by flowers or greenery, I've got to make sure that they're finished. So I've got a little area in through here. You could also use a little bit of blue. I didn't say I was going to use blue, but you could use like blue to make a kind of a cool gray tone with your black and your brown. So this will put some of like the edges of the rocks almost more in the shadow. So if you want to do stuff like that to get your rocks to look a little bit more silver, or like they've got a different hue to them, because they don't always have to be just gray or brown. You can, you know, steer these colors into different hues and stuff on them. So any little bit that you want to kind of adjust to get the little highlights and stuff to happen is totally fine. I've got a little bit of an area over here that needs attending, so just a little bit of black there. So I'm just kind of going over and just making sure that I've got all these areas finished before I go into my big brush. So that looks good. And again, you can lighten areas, like I'm going to put a little bit more brown and white in through here just to get that edge to appear more visible on that rock. You can use your finger. There we go. Now I can see that edge of that rock. So just little pops like that can really make an area more visible just by adding a tiny bit more of a highlight to it. Same thing over here. I've got a little fuzzy or misty area in through here that I feel needs a little more attending to. So just a little black and white, a little bit of brown. Get it to kind of merge into that side of the rock. There we go, that looks good. Maybe a touch more black on my brush. There we go. And that looks good. Maybe a little bit of brown and white. Get this little guy to pop out a little bit more. A little edge of that rock. So these little tops of the rocks or the edges of the rocks, if you know, some of mine were a little bit difficult to see because they weren't light enough, or they didn't have enough contrast next to whatever they were next to. So that's when you have to decide if you want to adjust it any. I could even put a little foam coming up from the water, or you know, something to just show the edge of that rock. This up here is okay, but I think I could use a little bit more brown. I can see a little bit of streakiness in it, so I'm just going to kind of add little touches, maybe a little bit to the edge of that one, and then maybe just a little extra lightness on these guys because I can't really see them too much, so I want to just make sure that I can see them. There's no sense in doing something if you can't see it, right? That's my philosophy. So, I mean, sometimes it should be in the darkness, but sometimes it works if you just got to add a little bit more. I'm actually going to add a tiny bit of blue to these guys too, just so that was too much, but we're gonna fade that out just so we've got some like grayish tones in through here, maybe little shiny tones. Pick up a tiny bit of black just to work that out just a little bit. There we go. So just those little subtle tones within the rocks can help to give them just a little bit more information or make them look more finished. So I think that looks pretty cool. I'm going to now focus on my little things in my scenery, my trees and stuff. Do they need something else? Yes. This is where I'm going to add, I think I'm also going to use a little red with my brown. So I'm going to use red in a little bit for my flowers, but I'm using a little red, brown, and a touch of white to get just a little kind of highlight on the edge of this tree. Yeah, I like that. You could use yellow. I'm opting to use a little bit of red and brown just to give myself almost like the colors from the rainbow are bouncing off of these trees a bit, just giving a little hint of another color. I love that. Now I'm going to wash my brush and I'm going to do these little stringy grass things. So I'm picking up some of my light yellow and adding some highlight on the side where the waterfall is. So that's going to kind of allow the viewer to imagine that the waterfall is almost like a little luminescent value. It's providing some brightness over there. I've got a little guy right here that I can do it to too. So this is just that light green. I'll do it to the fluffy grassy, the other little bushes stuff too, but I think that looks good. So I'm going to switch brushes now to my 1/2 inch bristle, and this is where I'm going to finish up the other grassy stuff and greenery. I kind of like dig what's happening here. I don't feel I need to do much, but I need some more stuff up top. So I'm going to pick up some of that light green and yellow, and I'm going to go up top and kind of extend all of this area up here. I feel like it kind of needs a little extra bit of assistance in through here. Maybe pull some of this mossy stuff down into here. I'm going to pick up some of my green oxide, which I'm pretty sure I said I was going to use, but not quite sure. So something like that. So I'm really just kind of adding some lighter, brighter stuff up here to make it feel like there's more sunshine maybe up at the top of the scene or up at the top of the hills, and then, or rocks, whatever you want to call these. And then it just kind of dips down into the valley where the waterfall is. So you can really, again, imagine it whatever way you want. I'm going to pick up my light green plus some white to get additional brightness on the edges of these bushes and stuff that are up top. So this is light green plus some white. And again, you can see as soon as I start to add these bright tones up here, it starts to pull that scenery right, you know, off into the distance. Just softening these with the sunshine glow that's on top of them. So something like that. And allowing some little edges. So then as I come into the valley, I can definitely just use a little bit darker tones than up there. So maybe it's just my light green that starts to get these bushes to appear. And it doesn't just have to be light green. You can use light green, you can use your regular green oxide, but I might not go all the way with that bright yellow and white like I did up in the on the exterior tree at the top. So I'm going to just kind of be mindful that I don't go too bright down in through here. I'm just wiping my brush off and picking up just the green oxide, so it ends up being a little bit darker. And you can use the green oxide plus brown. Again, that'll give you more of a darker tone that we're inside here as opposed to outside there. Maybe just a little highlight here, just so we can again see these a little bit better. That looks good. And then I'm going to start to add some flowers, because you know you need flowers if you have a rainbow. In my professional opinion, maybe just a little bit of my light green down here, just itty bitty bits to help extend these, or to, you know, do whatever we want. There we go. All right, here we go. It's flower time. So I think I'm gonna go with some red and white. Gonna make myself just kind of like an on the fly little pinky tone. And I'm just going to make some dots. I'm not going to make anything fancy here, just kind of little pops of color. Trying not to be too systematic about it, but these little bushes definitely tell me that they want flowers. They're getting flowers whether they like it or not. And I think I'm going to keep it pretty simple with red or these like peachy kind of flowers, because all the color is happening in there, and I kind of don't want to take away from that. I want to just complement it. So if you've got a busy painting like this with every color in the rainbow, you don't want to take away from that focal point. You still got to find a way to showcase that. So as I'm doing this, I wanted this other color to be splashed around, but I've got to be careful not to take away from that. So I think just using one color choice, be it lavender, be it the blue, be it yellow, maybe you want yellow flowers, you can do that. Just, you know, be mindful that you just want it to complement and not take away from it. And I think that might be it. I'm looking around, I'm feeling like I'm pretty happy, and it's making me joyful. So I think that's it. We're going to be using a small brush for the next step, so you can just get ready. Alright, so we are on to the final step. This is the final step of every painting, which is to sign it. So I typically sign mine in the lower left or the lower right. I think I'm going lower left on this one with my number 6 round and green paint. I like to sign mine with my initials, but you can sign yours however you want. You can make up a fun symbol, you can sign it on the back, you can hide it in your painting, you really can identify your painting however you want. That is a choice that you make all on your own. And that is going to conclude this painting. I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you painted yourself a super fun fantasy-esque Waterfall, and I look forward to painting and sipping with you again sometime.